Right now, something strange is happening to you. You're sitting there watching this video, maybe scrolling through comments, maybe multitasking, and there's this quiet feeling in the background. It's not sadness exactly. It's not depression or burnout. It's something else entirely. It's the slow, almost gentle withdrawal from things that used to light you up. The hobbies that used to excite you feel flat. The goals you were chasing feel empty. Even the people you love spending time with seem somehow distant. And you're wondering what's wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. This is actually the most important sign you could receive right now. Because what you're experiencing isn't the end of your passion or motivation. It's the beginning of something much bigger. You're not losing yourself. You're finding yourself. And once you understand what this really means, everything about your current confusion will suddenly make perfect sense. Have you ever noticed how certain phases of your life just stop feeling right, even when nothing terrible has happened? You wake up in the morning and go through your routine, but there's this underlying restlessness that follows you around all day. You check your phone more often. You find yourself staring out windows without really seeing anything. You start conversations and lose interest halfway through. It's like you're living your life through a thin layer of glass, present but somehow not fully there. Most people panic when this happens. They think they're becoming lazy or unmotivated. They try to force themselves back into old patterns, push harder toward goals that used to matter, or guilt themselves into feeling excited about things that now feel hollow. But here's what they don't understand. This withdrawal isn't a problem to fix. It's information. It's your inner system telling you something crucial about where you are and where you're headed. Think about it this way. When a snake outgrows its skin, it doesn't try to squeeze back into what no longer fits. It naturally begins the process of shedding what's become too small. The old skin starts to feel tight, uncomfortable, restrictive, and instead of clinging to it, the snake lets it go to make room for what's coming next. That's exactly what's happening to you right now, except instead of physical skin, you're outgrowing mental and emotional patterns that no longer serve who you're becoming. The loss of interest you're feeling isn't random. It's specifically targeting the things that were aligned with an older version of yourself. The career path that made sense 5 years ago but feels suffocating now. The social activities that used to energize you but now drain you. The goals you set when you were operating from a completely different understanding of what you wanted from life. Your system is naturally pulling you away from these things because they're no longer a match for your evolving identity. This is why trying to force yourself back into old enthusiasm feels so exhausting. It's like trying to wear clothes that are 3 sizes too small. Technically possible, but deeply uncomfortable. Your inner wisdom knows you've outgrown certain aspects of your life, and it's creating distance between you and those things to make space for what's meant to come next. But here's where most people get stuck. They interpret this natural withdrawal as evidence that something is wrong with them. They think they're becoming depressed or losing their edge. They start judging themselves for not being as motivated as they used to be, as if consistent enthusiasm for the same things forever is some kind of life requirement. But that's not how growth works. Real evolution requires periods of letting go, and letting go often feels like losing interest, even when it's actually the healthiest thing that could happen to you. The truth into a new version of yourself while still clutching tea is, you can't stow lightly to everything that defined the old version. It doesn't work that way. Growth requires space, and sometimes creating that space means naturally drifting away from things that used to feel important. It's not loss, it's making room. There's actually a deeper intelligence operating here that most people never recognize. Your subconscious mind is constantly scanning your environment, your relationships, your activities, and your goals, checking to see what still aligns with your authentic self and what has become mismatched. When something no longer fits, it starts sending subtle signals. First, you might notice small irritations or a sense of restlessness. Then comes the gradual loss of enthusiasm. Eventually, if you're paying attention, you'll feel that clear sense of detachment that tells you it's time to move on. This process is actually your internal guidance system working perfectly. It's not broken, it's not malfunctioning. It's doing exactly what it's designed to do, which is to keep you aligned with your highest growth and evolution. The problem is that most people have been taught to override these signals instead of listening to them. They've been conditioned to believe that consistency means never changing, that commitment means never questioning, and that success means pushing through regardless of how something feels. But what if the opposite is true? What if your willingness to lose interest in things that no longer serve you is actually a sign of emotional maturity and inner wisdom? What if the ability to recognize when something has run its course is one of the most valuable skills you can develop? Instead of seeing your current detachment as a problem, what if you saw it as proof that your internal compass is working exactly as it should? Consider how this shows up in different areas of life. Maybe you used to love your job, but lately, every Monday morning feels heavier than the last. You're not suddenly bad at what you do. You're not lazy. Your system is telling you that this role has served its purpose in your development, and it's time to explore what comes next. Or maybe friendships that used to bring you joy now feel draining and superficial. Again, this isn't about becoming antisocial. It's about recognizing that your capacity for deeper, more authentic connection has expanded, and surface-level relationships no longer satisfy that part of you. The same thing can happen with hobbies, living situations, daily routines, and even belief systems. What used to feel exciting and aligned starts feeling stale and limiting. And instead of judging yourself for this natural evolution, what if you honored it as a sign that you're growing into someone new? Here's what makes this process even more confusing though. The withdrawal doesn't usually happen all at once. It's gradual, subtle, easy to miss if you're not paying attention. You might notice that you're not as eager to check social media as you used to be, or that planning weekend activities feels more like a chore than something to look forward to, or that conversations about topics that used to fascinate you now feel repetitive and shallow. These aren't signs that you're becoming boring or disconnected from life. They're signs that your standards are rising and your authentic self is becoming more discerning about where to invest your energy. And this is just the beginning, because once you stop resisting this natural process and start working with it instead of against it, something incredible begins to happen. The space you've created by letting go of what no longer serves you starts filling up with something entirely new, something that's more aligned with who you're becoming than who you used to be. The emptiness you're feeling right now isn't actually emptiness at all. It's pregnant pause. It's the quiet moment before something new is born. And if you've been wondering when this uncomfortable in-between phase will end, here's what you need to understand. The discomfort isn't a sign that you're stuck. It's a sign that you're right on schedule. Think about what happens in nature during transition seasons. Late fall doesn't immediately become spring. There's winter in between, a period where everything looks dormant, lifeless, like nothing is happening. But underneath the surface, in the darkness, roots are deepening, seeds are preparing. The wholeizing itself for a system is reorgan what's coming next. Your current loss of interest is your personal winter. And just like in nature, the most important growth is happening where you can't see it yet. This is why pushing yourself to feel excited about old things right now feels so forced and exhausting. You're trying to make spring happen in the middle of winter. You're trying to bloom before the soil has been properly prepared. But your inner wisdom knows better. It's keeping you in this receptive, quiet space because that's exactly where you need to be for what's trying to emerge. Most people miss this entirely because they're so uncomfortable with not knowing what comes next. They want guarantees. They want to see the full picture before they're willing to let go of what they currently have. But that's not how transformation works. You have to release your grip on the familiar before you can reach for something new. You have to create space in your life before that space can be filled with better things. And here's the part that might surprise you. The new interests, passions, and directions that are waiting for you aren't completely random. They're not going to be totally unrelated to who you are or what you've experienced. Instead, they're going to be upgraded versions of your authentic desires, more refined, more aligned, more true to who you've become through all your growth and learning. It's like the difference between listening to music on a cheap radio and listening to the same song through high-quality speakers. The song is fundamentally the same, but your capacity to appreciate its depth and nuance has completely changed. Your old interests might return, but they'll feel different because you'll be engaging with them from a more conscious, mature, more place. Or entirely new interests will show up that connect to parts of yourself you didn't even know existed. But here's the crucial part. You can't rush this process. You can't think your way into knowing what comes next. This isn't a problem you can solve with planning or strategy or forcing yourself to try new things just for the sake of trying them. The new direction has to emerge organically from the space you've created by letting go, and that requires patience with the unknown. This is probably the hardest part for most people. We live in a culture that worships productivity and constant motion. The idea of intentionally doing less, caring about fewer things, and being okay with not having all the answers feels almost rebellious. But what if this rebellion is exactly what your soul is calling for right now? What if your loss of interest in external distractions is actually your inner wisdom trying to redirect your attention inward? What if all those activities and goals and relationships that used to consume your energy were actually keeping you from hearing the quiet voice that's been trying to guide you towards something better? When you stop filling every moment with noise and activity, when you stop forcing enthusiasm for things that feel flat, something interesting happens. You start noticing subtler signals. You become aware of desires you've been too busy to acknowledge. You realize there are parts of yourself that have been dormant, waiting for the right conditions to wake up. Maybe you'll discover that you actually want to create something instead of just consuming. Maybe you'll realize that you crave deeper conversations instead of surface-level social interactions. Maybe you'll find that you're drawn to learning about subjects you never considered before, or that you want to spend time in environments that used to seem boring but now feel nourishing. These aren't random new interests. They're expressions of who you've been becoming all along. The person you are now has different needs, different curiosities, different ways of wanting to engage with the world. And your current loss of interest in old things is simply your system's way of clearing the decks for these new expressions to have room to breathe and grow. The people in your life might not understand this process. They might ask why you're not as excited about things you used to love. They might worry that you're becoming withdrawn or losing your spark. But what they're actually witnessing is you becoming more selective, more authentic, more aligned with your true nature. You're not losing your spark. You're learning to direct it more consciously. And this selectivity is actually a sign of strength, not weakness. It takes courage to admit when something no longer serves you. It takes wisdom to recognize that growth sometimes looks like subtraction rather than addition. It takes trust to let go of the familiar without knowing exactly what will replace it. The shift happening inside you right now is preparing you for a completely different way of engaging with life. One where your choices come from inner alignment rather than external expectations. Where your energy goes toward things that genuinely matter to you instead of things you think you should care about. Where your relationships and activities and goals all feel like natural extensions of who you really are. But first, you have to be willing to sit in this space of not knowing. You have to be okay with feeling temporarily disconnected from things that used to anchor your identity. You have to trust that this emptiness is actually fullness waiting to be discovered. So if you're sitting here right now, feeling like you're drifting away from everything that used to matter, I want you to know something. You're not broken, you're not lost, you're not falling behind or missing out on life. You're actually exactly where you need to be. This withdrawal you're experiencing isn't the end of your story. It's the quiet space between chapters where the most important transformation happens. Your loss of interest isn't a problem to solve. It's a signal to trust. It's your inner wisdom creating the exact conditions you need to step into who you're becoming. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to figure it all out right now. You don't have to know what comes next or have a perfect plan. You just have to be willing to honor this process and trust that something better is already making its way toward you. The emptiness will fill. The excitement will return. But when it does, it will be different, more authentic, more aligned, more true to who you really are. So, be patient with yourself. Trust the timing. And remember that sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is let yourself lose interest in what no longer serves you, because that's how you make room for what's truly meant to be yours.